أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله أما بعد. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the second chapter of the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah that this book, this Quran of ours is a book, La Rayba Fi, is a book that has no doubt inside of it. And who is the Quran for? Alladina yu'minuna bil ghayb. So this Quran it came down for specific people. The first group of people that the Quran came for, that is going to resonate with, Alladina yu'minuna bil ghayb. Those that believe in the unseen. Those that believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they believe in the malaika, they believe in Yawm al-Akhir, they believe in Qiyam and all the things that are from the unseen. So the first thing for a person to have access to the Quran, they should believe in the ghayb. The second thing, وَالَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. Those that establish their prayers. It's not possible for the Quran to benefit a person that does not establish their daily salawat. The third thing, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And this is what I had a different topic that I wanted to discuss, but because of the nature of the situation that we're in, I decided to give something that's a brief reminder. Allah Ta'ala says the Quran is for مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Those people whom when Allah Ta'ala gives them something of risk, that they give it back. That when Allah Ta'ala blesses you, you don't keep it, that you give it back. SubhanAllah. So if a person who is stingy, they call it in Arabic, bakhil, or suffers from bukhla, a person that's stingy, it's a sign that they have a deficiency in the iman. A person cannot be a full believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and at the same time be stingy. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ is one of the first messages that Allah Ta'ala teaches the mu'min. That you should not be stingy when it comes to giving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Everything that you have, that you own, it came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and one day everything will return. There was a janazah, salat al-janazah, for a very wealthy individual. And they were gathering around his qabr, his grave, and someone asked, I wonder how much money he left behind. And someone turned to him and they said, he left everything. He didn't go with anything. You can't take any of it with you to the grave. So, أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرِ. Each and every one of us are in this life, chasing our sustenance, tasting our wealth, but there's going to come a day where everything cuts off, and all of the money that you earn, that you struggle for, the houses that you build, the cars that you're going to leave everything behind. And if you don't spend it for yourself, fi sabilillah, somebody may spend it in a way that's not pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Charity is one of the greatest secrets of our religion. The Prophet ﷺ said that charity, that giving sadaqah, it extinguishes the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the same way water extinguishes fire. Sometimes you may find in your life there's no barakah in your life. That there's mashakil, there's problems in your family. You have issues with your children. You can't even find a good job. Your car is having issues. Sometimes it's from the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the sins that we commit. That Allah Ta'ala is angry with us and cuts off any means of barakah. How do you make Allah pleased with you? By spending for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَمَّا سَائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ. When someone is asking you, you should give it to them. This is the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That there was a grandson of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his name was Zayn al-Abidin. They said about him that he never ever said no in his life to anyone that asked him. مَا قَالَ لَا قَدْتُ إِلَّا تَشْهُدِهِ وَلَوْلَا تَشْهُدُهُ كَنَّ لَأُهُ نَعْمٌ. The poet said, he said he never said no in his life, to the degree, if it wasn't for shahada, if it wasn't for la ilaha illallah, he would have never said no to anyone. La, the only time he said la in his life was when he said la ilaha illallah. And he inherited this from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So charity is something that's very essential in our religion. If you look in the famous hadith of Jibreel, that when Jibreel alayhi salam asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about three major things. He said, inform me about Islam, inform me about Iman in different riwayah. It came, inform me about Iman. What is Iman? What is Islam? What is Ihsan? Our religion is made up of those three components. If somebody is new to the religion and wants to learn their deen, explain to me al-Islam. You say Islam is made up of 3 components. Our deen is 3 things. It's Iman, it's Islam, and Ihsan. Some of the ulama say Iman, they call it ilmu aqidah, ilmu tawheed. They have different names for it, but the Sahaba knew it as ilmu Iman. The second thing is Islam. They call it Sharia, they call it fiqh. Has different names, but that's the second thing. And the third thing is ilmu ihsan. So it's to firstly know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Who am I worshiping? Who is my Lord? Who is my God? The second thing is, how do I worship my Lord? What does He want from me? What am I supposed to do? The rules and regulations. And the third thing is, how do I purify my heart? How do I purify my soul to get ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's what's called ilmu ihsan. Allah ta'ala says that the only people that Allah ta'ala will accept on the Day of Judgment is those that have a pure heart. So if you look at this hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and you compare it with the first ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, that's ilmu iman, those that believe in the unseen. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ, that's ilmu Islam, those that establish their prayers. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, that's ilmu ihsan. As Sayyidina Jibreel said, when he asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what is this? What is ilmu ihsan? What does ihsan mean? He said, أَن تَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Him. One of the reasons, the trouble that people have with giving money is because they don't know who Ar-Razak is. You're giving money, but you think, subhanAllah, if I give this little bit of money I have left, where am I going to get the balance from? So you're stingy. Allah ta'ala says, whoever is stingy, he's stingy to himself. Because they say on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're going to be begging. They say, oh Allah, please, give me back one moment I can go back and just spend the money for your sake. But when you die, there's no other means. بإذن الله تعالى. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي علمنا من العلوم ما به كلفنا. صلى وسلم على محمد وآله وصحبه والمهتدي وبعد. I'm not going to take too long, inshallah ta'ala, because each and every one of us know our responsibility for this community, for this masjid. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, whoever builds a masjid for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will build for them a house in paradise. One of the things as business people, many of us in our community, we focus on residual income. We try to make money that's earned in your sleep. Working for people, you're never going to become wealthy by working for other individuals. As the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, that 1/3 of risk is in tijara, is in entrepreneurship. So as entrepreneurs, we're always thinking, how can we create businesses that can make money even when we're sleeping? Residual income is called in the business world. For Muslims, we believe in residual barakah. How do I earn blessings? How do I earn rewards? Even when I'm sleeping, the angels are writing for me rewards. That's in building a masjid. You may not even be praying in a masjid, you may be traveling, you may be dead and gone, but every single person that prays in this masjid, until Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala will write that on for you on your good deeds. Every single person that makes wudu, the angel will write it for you. Every person that takes shahada, every person that comes to the masjid and learns something in the khutbah and changes their lives, Allah will bless you and your children and those that came before you. If you look in Surah Al-Kahf, in the story, when Allah Ta'ala sent Sayyidina Musa and his friend, Sayyidina Khidr, He sent them all the way to these orphans, and He said, why did Allah Ta'ala send them? Kan aba'uhum salih, because they had righteous forefathers. They had parents or grandparents or great-grandparents that were righteous. And as a result of their righteousness, Allah Ta'ala blessed them in future generations. So by giving to this masjid, by building this community, it's not only going to benefit you, but your children, your great-great-grandchildren. And when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will truly see the reward of what you have done. I'm going to close with this, a very simple story, inshallah ta'ala. 5 minutes. You know, the young people would like to make it fast. Everything is quick. Fast food, fast everything. You know, fast khutbah. We don't like to wait too long. So I'm going to end with this, inshallah ta'ala. There's a story of 2 arifin, 2 men that knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one was rich and the other was poor. These were righteous men, people that understood their religion well. So the rich person, he came to the poor person and he said, "Khudh laysa lak." He said, take this money, but it's not for you. Some people shaking their head, they get the message. He said, take this money, it's not for you. The poor one said, "Hat laysa mink." Give it to me, but it's not from you. Imagine you go to a poor person, faqir, miskin. He said, here, take this money. He said, give it to me, it's not from you. Well, you're going to give my money back. What's wrong with you? Ungrateful. But these two individuals, they had a secret between them. The one that said, خُذْ لَيْسَ لَكَ, take this, is not for you. Who's it for? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm giving you this money, but I know that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's going to receive it. When you're giving to the masjid, in reality, the haqiqah of things is you're really giving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're really giving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not about people. It's not even about the masjid itself. It's Allah. There's something between me and you. هَلْ لَكَ سِرٌ, do you have a secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that nobody knows, between you and Allah? Allah, you know I only have $100 in my bank account, billahi. I only have $100. Out of that 100, I'm going to follow the sunnah of Abu Bakr. I gave everything to you. Allah, my family, how they're going to eat, my gas in my car, I don't know. That's not my business. As Sayyidina Umar said, لا أحمل هم الدعاء أحمل هم لا أحمل Sayyidina Umar says, I don't carry the burden of ijabah. لا أحمل هم الإجابة ولكن أحمل هم الدعاء. That the answering of dua is none of my business. My business is just to make dua. Money is none of your business. Allah Ta'ala says that when you were created, everything was written in a book. Every single penny that you will have in your life was written in your book. Bilawh al-Mahfuz. So it doesn't matter. You spend it, you don't spend it, it's already written for you. So the idea is that you spend it, you give it for the sake of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. That's understood. What isn't understood is that the one who said, give it to me, laysa mink. Laysa mink. Give it to me, but it's not from you. He understood that it's from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Na'am. There's a story of a man, one of the Sahabis. He was a person that was very, very generous. What he used to do was, every day, he would gather around his friends, and some of our uncles are like this, and he would bring them to his house for his wife to feed them. So every single day, his wife was cooking in the kitchen, cooking, giving. And this is the sunnah, Allah's sunnah. Feeding people is one of the greatest sunnahs of the prophets and messengers, especially Sayyidina Ibrahim. So this woman, she complained to her husband. She said, listen, every day you bring your friends to eat here, it's too much for me. I can't do this every single day. I won't do it. So this man, he went to complain to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, you know, I'm a person that likes diyafa, ikram al-dayf. I like taklim al-dayf. I like to honor my guests. But my wife, she says it's too much. Am I doing something that's haram? Am I oppressing my wife? So the Prophet ﷺ said, don't worry, tonight I'm going to be your guest. So he went home and told his wife, the Prophet ﷺ is going to be our guest tonight. She's happy, she's cooking, making her favorite dish. He said, one thing, when I'm leaving, tell your wife to watch the door, to look at the bab as I'm leaving. So the Prophet ﷺ came, he ate all the food until he was filled. He made dua for them. As he was leaving out the door, the man and his wife is looking at the Prophet ﷺ at his footsteps. The snakes, spiders, scorpions, all type of evil insects, it began walking behind the Prophet ﷺ and left the house. The Prophet ﷺ explained that whenever you invite a guest to your home and you feed them, when the guests are leaving, all the evilness in that house leaves as well. Wallahi billah, I'm telling you something that's a great secret of this deen. When you give money for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't lose anything. The Prophet ﷺ said that sadaqah, it doesn't take from your money. It looks like that, but wallahi, it does not take from your money. When you are broke, that's the best time to give sadaqah. Because Allah will give it to you. Allah will never ever let you outdo Him in His generosity. But the whole thing is a test to see if you really believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. Or you trust in yourself. Do you trust in Allah or do you trust in yourself? Do you trust in your bank account, your employer? Or do you trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's the greatest test. So I remind myself and I remind all of you to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Imam, I'm also pledging $250 for the masjid, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And all of your witnesses, and I pray that you all can at least match this today. Even if you can't do it today, between today and next Friday, make the niyyah, I'm going to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where is it going to come from, how it's going to get back, is none of my business. But I pledge Allah, I'm going to give this money for the masjid. Inshallah ta'ala, may Allah bless you and increase you all. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وجعلنا مما يستمعون قولا فيتبعون أحسنه إن الله والملائكة يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين وصل وسلم على سيدنا محمد في كل وقت وحين سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وأقيموا الصلاة.